You know exactly what time it is, don't you? If you're a parent sitting there watching your baby just stare at your dinner plate, making those little smacking sounds and practically looking the food right out of your mouth, well, it's time to start solids. Now look, I know this can be incredibly stressful. There is just so much information out there. But take a deep breath. We're going to use this explainer as a reassuring, step-by-step roadmap to make this huge developmental milestone safe, fun, and honestly, really exciting for both you and your baby. Okay, let's dive straight into this. To keep things super clear and lower your cognitive load, here is our agenda. First up, the eerste oefenhapjes, or first practice bites. Then, zelfhapjes klaarmaken, preparing the food. Next, naar volledige maaltijden, moving to full meals. Then, met de pot mee, joining family meals. And finally, in gezonde eetomgeving, setting up a healthy eating environment. We've got it all mapped out. And just to give you total peace of mind right off the bat, let's look at this timeline so you know exactly what to expect in that first year. Between 4 and 6 months, that's just practice, no pressure. From 6 to 8 months, we start expanding those textures, and by the time they hit 8 to 12 months, your baby is practically eating the family meals. So you definitely don't have to figure it all out on day 1. It's just a beautiful, gradual process. All right, moving to section 1, the eerste oefenhapjes, focusing on the 4 to 6 month mark where the culinary adventure actually begins. Now, the absolutely crucial word to remember here is practice. Practice bites are literally just small, introductory portions of healthy foods, so the pressure is totally off your shoulders because these tiny little bites do not replace milk as the primary food source. Breast milk or formula is still the main event here. You're really just letting your baby get used to sitting up, swallowing something slightly thicker than milk, and experiencing brand new flavors. So how do we actually make these little bites without losing our minds? Let's move to section 2, zelfhapjes klaarmaken, where we'll go over some practical preparation tips straight from the fooding centrum. Batch cooking is going to be your absolute best friend. Seriously, it's a game changer. Here is a brilliant sequence to follow. First, wash your veggies and boil them in a little water. And remember, absolutely no salt. Second, let them cool down in cold water, then mash or puree them up. Third, and I love this tip from Mama Ru's Cooked, freeze the puree in standard ice cube trays. Once they're frozen solid, pop them into a freezer bag. And fourth, you can store these perfectly portioned baby meals for up to 3 months. So, when your baby is hungry, you literally just pop out a cube or two. You want to defrost these safely, right? In the microwave, it takes about 20 to 30 seconds per tablespoon. Always check the temperature on your own wrist first so it's lukewarm, not hot. Oh, and here is a pro tip for you. Once it's warmed up, stir in a teaspoon of olive oil or liquid margarine. It makes the puree wonderfully smooth and gives your baby those vital healthy fats they need. And just a quick reminder, never refreeze a thawed portion. Okay, time to bust an old myth. You might have heard back in the day that babies shouldn't eat nitrate-rich vegetables like spinach or endive. Well, scratch that. Recent research confirms they absolutely can. They can have all the veggies, healthy fats, and herbs. However, there is a definitive list of things you must avoid. Absolutely zero added salt, no honey, no raw meat or raw fish, and avoid smearkaas, spreadable cheese, because it's actually surprisingly high in sodium. Just keep it pure and safe. As your baby masters those purees, we enter a really fun phase, section 3, naar volledige maaltijden. This is the 6 to 8 month window where we start building actual meals. And the minute parents start cooking real meals, this is hands down the #1 question they ask. Mag ik al kruiden toevoegen, or can I add spices to my baby's food? The answer is a massive, resounding yes. A baby's food definitely does not have to be bland. You can absolutely use mild herbs like basil, oregano, dill, or warm spices like cinnamon and a little pinch of nutmeg. Just steer clear of spicy heat and salt. At this stage, you're building a full meal, so try combining those spiced veggies with a carb like potato, pasta, or quinoa. And this is heavily supported by the guidelines. You really want to introduce common allergens like smooth peanut butter and well-cooked egg early on. It's so important for preventing food allergies later in life. And suddenly, your tiny baby is growing up. Section 4, met the pot me, covering ages 10 to 12 months, where your life in the kitchen is about to get a whole lot easier. Seriously, ditch the blender. By 10 months, your baby can handle way more texture. Just use a fork to roughly mash things up. And honestly, more importantly, let them eat with their hands. Look, it's gonna get messy, for sure, but letting them grab small, soft broccoli florets or pieces of potato is incredibly fun for them, and it's absolutely amazing for their motor skill development. They are essentially eating exactly what you're eating now, just without the salt. Now, as they eat more solid food, something else naturally changes. By their first birthday, their milk intake drops significantly to about 300 milliliters a day. And because they're drinking less milk, hydration is key. Offer water or mild tea regularly. You can even make the water a bit exciting by infusing it with a slice of strawberry, cucumber, or mint. Also, studies actually show that 10-month-olds often lack sufficient dietary fats, so keeping up with that little drizzle of olive oil on their veggies or some nut butter on their bread is vital for their brain development. All right, so now that we know exactly what to feed them, we really need to shift our focus to the psychological aspect. Section 5, een gezonde eetomgeving. Because the environment matters. How they eat is just as important as what they eat. And this brilliantly illustrates that point. Our behavioral advice here is rooted directly in the official Dutch Youth Healthcare, or JGZ guidelines. They emphasize that a child's environment essentially dictates their entire relationship with food. The guidelines give us these rapid-fire rules for providing solid structure. First up, establish fixed mealtimes. Second, eat at the table together. You have to be a good role model by eating the same healthy foods. Third, absolutely no screens or TV. You want a calm, distraction-free zone where the focus is entirely on the food and on each other. And finally, prevent continuous grazing throughout the day. Because, if a child snacks constantly, they just aren't going to have an appetite when the actual mealtime rolls around. I think the most crucial point is beautifully summarized in this powerful quote from the JZ guidelines. Voeden is the start of opvoeden. Feeding is the start of parenting. It really is so much more than just counting vitamins and calories. Sitting around that table together is a foundational bonding experience. It's where you build trust, establish boundaries, and set them up for a literal lifetime of healthy eating habits. So take a deep breath, you've got the chronological roadmap, you know the kitchen hacks, and you know exactly how to build a healthy environment. You are entirely ready for this. The only exciting question left to answer is, what will your baby's very first flavor be? Enjoy the journey, embrace the mess, and have fun.